Man, it is great to have Game of Thrones back on my TV every Sunday. Man, it is great. Hey, everybody, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. I'm having a great day. And welcome back to Westeros. Welcome back to King's Landing. And welcome back to the world of Game of Thrones. So, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, premiered this past weekend. And I'm super excited for it. Like, it was a whole event with me. Like, I poured some whiskey, I sat down, and I just immersed myself back in the world of Westeros, back into the world of George R.R. Martin. And it felt like I didn't miss a beat from the music and the aesthetic of the series. Like, this was what Game of Thrones was. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until I watched that first episode. And I'm not going to lie, I actually shed a tear. I shed a tear at one point when the music started playing and the characters were flying on the dragons over King's Landing. Like, I actually shed a tear, and I really, really enjoyed this episode. Now, this episode right now currently has a 82 critic rating with an 87 audience score. And I bring this up for a couple of reasons. Yes, there was a lot of backlash on the way Game of Thrones ended. You know, some people like it, some people hate it. I'm sort of like in the middle. It wasn't my favorite thing, but it didn't like ruin anything. To me, we had so much great content within Game of Thrones. Even if I didn't like the last one or two episodes, or maybe the show didn't end the way it should have ended, it didn't spoil how great Game of Thrones was the entire like 7-8 seasons that it was. Game of Thrones was a fantastic series that was bringing in higher viewerships every single episode and every single season. And yeah, you know, it didn't end the way a lot of people thought it should have, and there was a lot of backlash on it. But that just goes to show you that all that was sort of in a vacuum, because a lot of these websites right now, like Deadline reported, like HBO Max crashed because so many people were trying to view it. And then there was reported of nearly 10 million viewers on the HBO Max trying to watch, or HBO in general, whether it be on the, you know, the channel or the app or whatnot, 10 million viewers for the debut episode of House of the Dragons, rather. And yeah, this just goes to show you that Game of Thrones is still a very, very popular IP, a very, very popular series. And the show, I thought this episode was fantastic. And the way you can tell it was fantastic was you don't see a lot of these hate channels coming out going, oh, here we go again, you know, blah, 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 like they did at the end of Game of Thrones. You don't see that hate mob coming after. And all the people that were really hating on it, like, they're all silent right now. They're all absolutely silent right now, because the episode came out and it was really good. It was really intriguing. I like these new characters. It was brutal. It was sexy. It was horrific. Like, it was intriguing. There was so much going on in this episode that it was just like, wow, holy crap, we're really back in Westeros. And yeah, we're really back in Westeros. I really enjoyed everything about this episode. I don't know all the characters' names. I don't even know any of the actors' name other than Matt Smith. And I really enjoyed what I saw. I like the fact that they talked about the prophecy of the prince that is chosen, or what was it, the king that is chosen, or whatever, and then the prophecy of the fire and Ice and Fire, the Song of Ice and Fire. I really enjoyed all that. These are worlds that are connected. Of course, these prophecies would go down from house to house, and they would talk about all that the prince that is chosen, or the king that is chosen, whatever the hell the prophecy is, which we all know ends up being Jon Snow. But I really enjoy the fact that, you know, all that is hit upon, but it is not what the show is based off of, right? Like, the show is based off, you know, whoever's going to be the heir to this king, who's going to be the next heir in line. And that's where we set off, where the king is trying to have a son. You know, if you watch the episode, something goes down, it doesn't really happen. He names his daughter the heir, and Matt Smith is then sentenced to go away from King's Landing. And that's your show. There's going to be a battle struggle for the Game of Thrones. I mean, that's what it is. It's always a battle struggle and a power struggle for who's going to be sitting on that Iron Throne. It's always been the intrigue of Game of Thrones, right? I wasn't the biggest White Walker fan, right? Like, I thought some of the White Walker stuff was very interesting. You know, like, one of my favorite episodes was Hardhome. I loved Hardhome, and I liked the fact that Jon Snow was the one that united all of humanity in Westeros to fight against the dead. But at the end of the day, when winter came, it wasn't really that intriguing because that was never the intrigue of the show. The intrigue of the show has always been who's going to sit on the Iron Throne? Who is going to be the person that's going to take charge of Westeros? And we were rooting for the good. We were rooting for the bad. There was tons of different people, Littlefinger, all that, like trying to get onto the throne. And that was the most intriguing part of Game of Thrones. So I'm glad that in House of the Dragon, they hit on winter is coming, but we know as the audience that that's like 172 years later. Like this is like many years, nearly 200 years before winter has come and Jon Snow unites all Westeros to fight against, winter. So I like the fact that this is going back to basics, going back to what makes Game of Thrones, and that is, by having that battle of intrigue and politics and who is going to be the heir to the Iron Throne. Love this episode so much brutality, so much things that's hard to watch, but Game of Thrones has always been that way. Game of Thrones has always been a series that was hard to watch, but it keeps you intrigued on the storytelling, like the acting and the delivery of lines and all that stuff, and the music, the way they incorporated the original music. That's something I've been harping on Star Wars shows to do. It's like, you're Star Wars, you're known for your music, yet you barely play any Star Wars, mostly none at all, any Star Wars music in your Disney Plus series. Like, you don't really play it in Mandalorian. You play like a little bit in Obi-Wan, and I feel like this is your property. This is what your property is known for. Play that music. Game of Thrones, people know that music. People absolutely hum that music. They know that music. It's iconic music. Play that music in your show. They did right from the get-go, where they're flying over King's Landing and the music is playing, and like, holy buckets of wiener shits, Curly, I am back in Westeros. I am back in that world. And that was something that I enjoyed as a longtime viewer and a hardcore Game of Thrones fan. I've always said Game of Thrones is my absolute favorite series of all time, right? There's a lot of really good series out there. Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, a lot of really good series out there. Game of Thrones has always been my favorite series. And it's not talking about which one is better. There's so many people who like to put these things against each other. Like Breaking Bad, burning Game of Thrones. One's about crystal meth and the other one's about flying on dragons and fighting White Walker zombies. Like, they're two completely different shows. Stop trying to put them together. Like, it's literally for two different demographics. If you want to watch like drug cartel, like smuggling and crystal meth and stuff, that's Breaking Bad. If you want to be in a fantasy world, that's Game of Thrones, right? Yes, you can like both of them, but don't compare them. They're completely different genres, man. It's like comparing Godfather to Lord of the Rings. It's like, what? It's completely different things, I promise you. So I don't get into all that heated debate, which one's better. It depends what you like. What's your taste? And for me, Game of Thrones has always been that. Absolutely just loved this episode, and I just wanted to get on here and talk about it, kind of talk about the Rotten Tomatoes score, the viewership, the outage. If you guys, like, depending on how this video does, I would do a long, more long form discussion on it with a lot of spoilers and all that stuff. I was actually debating, like, should I do a live stream? But I decided not to. I was like, well, let me just hit on the viewership. Let me just hit on, the outage and the Rotten Tomatoes score and all that stuff, and not just do like an official review on it. Like, just kind of talk about like the numbers of it. But if this video gets views, if it can get like 1,500 views, then next week I will do a full-length either live stream or breakdown on that episode and give you my absolute thoughts and spoilers on episode 2. But again, we're going to do that if this video gets views, so you're gonna have to smash that like button, get that algorithm up, and if we can get over 1,500, then I would definitely start breaking this episodes down and give more of an actual play-by-play review deep dive and what I thought. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on episode 1 of House of the Dragon. Absolutely loved this. So glad to be back in Westeros. But I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment box below. Smash that like and subscribe button. Until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.